Have you ever run out of almond milk in the middle of the day and thought, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? I've got 3 easy ways to make almond milk in a pinch, and they all take under 5 minutes. Hi, I'm Sam from Bites of Wellness. Let's get cooking. The 3 ideas I'm going to give you today involve using almonds or my secret ingredient, almond butter. Bet you never thought almond butter could make almond milk, but it does, and I'll show you how. Making almond milk at home is super easy, especially if you have a high-speed blender. So the one thing I will caveat all of this with is that you do need something to strain your pulp with. So they have these things called nut bags. You can find them online. I've used mine for like canning and things like that as well. But they're super easy to clean. Throw them in the dishwasher. But you do need something to filter through because there's going to be a lot of pulp. If you think about grinding up an almond, it's going to have that pulpiness to it, and you are not going to enjoy your nut milk without straining it. So in a pinch, you could use a very clean tea towel lined in like a strainer, and that could work for you if you need it to, but I would not use something like a paper towel or anything. It's going to disintegrate, not something you want to drink. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to use a high-speed blender to make your own almond milk in less than 5 minutes. Step 1, fill your blender. So I've got, I think this is like 4 cups. I'm going to do a cup of almonds. And here's what I've learned over time is that if you overfill this blender, it's not going to pulverize the almonds as well. So I'm going to only add probably double the amount, so maybe 2 cups of water to this, so that there's still room in the container to kind of have everything move around. If it's too full, it just doesn't work out. You can add water at the end. So as you can see, I've got about double the amount of water, and we're just going to turn this on for 1 minute, check the consistency, maybe run it again for another minute, but usually a minute is pretty good. It's going to get loud. All right, let's see what we're working with. So again, I didn't add as much water. This is going to be very thick. If you want this to be like a coffee creamer, like half and half consistency, don't add as much water at the end. You can really control how thick or thin this is. So if you're looking for a replacement for your coffee creamer, this is a great idea, is to start really thick and just add just a little bit of water as you go until you get the consistency that you like. But I'm going to show you how to make almond milk. Pretty easy. We just pour it in the strainer. And then we squeeze. And squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. So while I'm doing this, I may talk about why you may want to start doing this at home a little bit more. So the typical almond milk that you see at the grocery store in like the cold refrigerated section is not a lot of almonds. So it's like 35 calories for a cup. And the reason it still seems super thick is because they use a lot of gums in there. That can be really disruptive to your stomach and your digestion. So if you're not drinking dairy because it gives you stomach aches and inflammation, and then you turn to something that is full of gums and thickeners, you may be doing just as much damage, which is why I started making my own almond milk at home. I started reading the ingredients, and then to find something that didn't have those gums in it ended up being like $7 to $8 per carton. So I figured out that this was a lot more economical. It's just a little dirty, so you definitely get your hands in this when you are making it with the blender. But again, it's going to save you not only money, but if you don't have any almond milk on hand, it's going to save you from ruining your recipe. So I'm going to show you guys just in here. You want to squeeze this until there's really nothing left except that pulp in there. And this is why you don't want to skip straining it, because this is going to be in your almond milk and you're going to be drinking a thick almond paste kind of thing if you don't strain it. So it's very important to just go ahead, take that extra 2 minutes to strain it through. So this is at about a cup or so. I'm going to add in at least 2 more cups and give it a quick stir. So if you are wanting to replace your creamer, I know we talked about that before, and you're used to drinking something sweetened, you can add like 2 dates in there as well. Make sure you pit them, but you can add 2 dates. It'll add a slight caramely flavor. They'll break down, and then you'll catch them in your strainer bags so that you don't have to worry about any little bits of dates being in your almond milk. You could also use some maple syrup or honey as well if you want to naturally sweeten this. So that would be great if you're kind of looking for that creamer replacement. I'm going to just show you the consistency in a mason jar. And this is going to have a lot more almond flavor than what you're used to at the grocery store, because it is so much almonds versus, again, having all those gums and things like that. But super easy to make. Again, there's a couple of steps, but they're all very easy. And this is something you can do at home anytime you run out of almond milk and you need it for a recipe or for breakfast. So this step is a little bit of an investment, and that is using an almond cow. This is great if you know you want to make all of your own nut milks at home all the time. The fun part is you can play around. You can do cashew, almond, hemp hearts, anything you have on hand, really. I do a really good blend of pumpkin seeds and cashews that I love. But today I'm going to show you how to make almond milk in this. The great thing is that they make this so user-friendly. So what you do is you have the blade here, and then they've got, I know you probably can't see it, but on the side they've got some measurements of how high to go. So you add 1 cup of nuts, and you're just going to put the blade back in there. Super easy. And the reason I like this better than that blending method is because I don't have to strain this afterwards. So it's a lot easier to clean up. So again, if you're going to be doing this all the time, 2, 3, 4 times a week, this is worth the investment. But if you're only going to make almond milk every once in a while at home, use the things you already have on hand. We're going to add about 6 cups of water here. And again, this has a demarcation as to what the minimum amount is. Very user-friendly, super, super easy to use. And then you'll see how easy this really is. We're just going to put the lid on, the blue light comes on, and you turn it on. That took just about a minute. It goes through 3 cycles, and then you are done. This is it. The hardest part now is just cleaning out the almond cow afterwards. But you get super frothy almond milk right after blending. See that? And then one thing that they do kind of recommend is that you push the excess liquid out of the container. Here you can see all that pulp and everything, and then reuse this pulp in other ways. I'm not going to show you that. I'm sure you could figure it out. I just want to show you how thick and creamy this almond milk is. And let's see how easy this was. This was a 4-cup mason jar, and this was 6 cups of water, so I'm going to be able to get 1.5 of these mason jars full of almond milk. This is really budget friendly if you can find, especially if you're wanting to use organic almonds, things like that, versus trying to get it at the store. So, cheers. Now on to possibly the easiest way to make almond milk at home, and that is to use almond butter. The great part about this is that you don't have to strain anything. You don't need any fancy equipment. You just need a blender. It doesn't even need to really be a high-speed blender because all of the work's already been done for you in making this into almond butter. So all we need is almond butter and water. You can add a sweetener, again, maple syrup, honey, or some dates to this. I will caveat, if you're going to use dates, soak them in really hot water for like at least 10 minutes because you're going to want them to be able to break down very quickly because we're not straining this. So just remember that as we go. I'm going to do about a cup of water and 2 tablespoons of almond butter. You could go up to 4 tablespoons if you're going to use 4 cups of water, which is what typically would come in one of those grocery carton, you know, it's like 4, 6 cups or something. But I'm just going to make a little bit here. So we need 2 tablespoons of almond butter, and I'm going to start with a cup of water, and then we can always add more afterwards. And I'm very generous with my tablespoons. And in case you're wondering, you can also do this with tahini or sun butter if you want this to be nut-free, or you just want to change the flavor of things. Pretty much any kind of nut butter you have on hand. You could even make peanut butter milk if you wanted to get crazy. Your stuff's going to taste like peanut butter though, just to let you know. All right, so I've made a mess. We're gonna add some water, about a cup, and then blend this sucker up. So just blend it for just about a minute. Honestly, you only need like 20 seconds, but I like how frothy it gets the longer that you blend it, especially if you're gonna use this immediately on top of coffee or something like that. So this is what it looks like right out of the blender. Again, you can add more water to this or not. You can see the color is kind of really brown still, so you really get that essence of like, this is a deep almond flavor. So, and don't be surprised if your almond milk sticks to the bottom. That's why I'm a little bit more generous, because some of it's gonna stick right there at the bottom. You could scrape it out, reblend it, but for this, let's just add a little bit more water. So that's about 3 cups to 2 tablespoons. This is gonna pretty much taste like what you're used to at the grocery store. If you wanted to thin it out more, you could add more water, or again, keep it low. But let's show them all in comparison so that you can see what it looks like to make almond milk at home. All right, so we've got blender, almond cow, almond butter. You can see from the front how different they look. They're gonna have slightly different flavors. They're gonna have a little bit of froth on top, no froth. All of this all depends on how much water that you use and pretty much what you started with, right? So you might be wondering, what the heck, which one do I pick, right? And it's gonna depend. What do you have on hand, and how often are you gonna be doing this at home? For me personally, I love the blender method because it's more inexpensive, especially if you already have a blender on hand. It might just be that investment of getting some high quality almonds and that just nut bag, I don't know what else to call it, but it's a mesh bag that's used to make nut milk. And again, those are easy to find on Amazon. That's been my go-to for a really long time. Now, I will say the almond cow is extremely easy to use. If you have the budget for it, or you catch it on sale and you know you're going to be making your own almond milk or any kind of milk at home, you don't want to buy that grocery store milk anymore, that would be my like Christmas present, birthday present, whatever, go for it. I've loved having mine. I love that it is really easy. Even when I'm tired in the morning and I barely have my eyes open, I realize I don't have any milk. That is like so easy for me to just fill it and turn it on. Boom, I have milk by the time my coffee is done. So if you have the funds, I really love that. This is not sponsored in any way. I'm just telling you my opinion. And then the last method, the almond butter method, I really love that in a pinch if I'm baking or I am in a recipe and I just need like a fourth of a cup, a half a cup, 1 cup of almond milk or some kind of dairy-free milk, like I'm making oatmeal or something like that. I really love that method, but as you can see, it definitely has more, it retains more of that almond flavor, so it can kind of change the flavor of your coffee and things like that. So for an everyday, all the time, I'm gonna go with the blender if you have a blender on hand, and the almond cow if you have that investment. And then in a pinch, even now with the almond cow in a pinch, I'm gonna go with just blending up with some water and almond butter every time. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope it gave you a new idea of how to make your own almond milk at home. And if you like recipes like this, make sure you follow us, and we'll see you soon. Ugh. All right. You can never tell if it's gonna come off easy or not. All right, let's see what we're working with.